Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome to another episode of Connotations. Before we start, I just want to say regarding subscribers, ratings, listeners, and all that. Our listeners, if we can make a request to you to whatever platform you use, Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you can go on there and give us a 5-star rating. And leave us a review as well. Feel free to leave an honest review, but a 5-star rating will actually probably push our popularity up on the iTunes ranks and the Spotify ranks, so we can really understand who's listening to our podcast, get more listeners, and the same applies for YouTube and subscribers. If you guys subscribe to our YouTube, then I'm able to tell. It kind of gives us an idea of our listeners and if we're going in the right direction.
For everyone that subscribes, if you send us an email to connotations@gmail.com, Arkib will give you £10 for every review that you
and if you feel like we don't deserve a 5-star, give us a 5-star anyways, but leave a comment. And we'll listen to like your feedback.
I was joking about for £10.
Yeah, that was quite cringy.
Unless you want to give £10, that would be nice of you.
Oh, can you remove this water bottle?
It shouldn't be there
So
anyway.
dead.
I'm drinking this.
When was the last time you replaced your water bottle?
No, I get a new one each time.
Okay, when did you get tea?
I get a fresh one each time.
Yeah, okay.
This doesn't
That
cost
looks
much.
mashed
You
up.
get 4 bottles
Yeah, I know.
from Aldi.
Oh dear.
£4.
Yeah, but
For a
like
pound.
It looks mashed up because it's been in my car.
okay. Please
That's
put it.
why.
Please put it on the floor.
I will put it on the floor.
Thank you. When did I get tea? It's not tea. It's coffee. A budgie style.
How come you didn't offer it to anyone else?
You lot are spitting your bars and stuff.
What kind of hospitality is this?
Yeah, man.
It's not my place.
That's not the point. When you go and make like coffee and stuff, even at work, right? When someone makes tea, they ask everyone that's on their desk, do you want a cup of tea?
You do realise that we're in a time limit.
Okay. I'm just saying, maybe my brain would be more active if you had made me tea.
Okay, you
Maybe
can share
the
it with me.
caffeine-
I'm a Musliman, bro.
I don't know, man. Like backwash.
Nah, bro. This mouth gets cleaned 5 times a day for wudu.
Debatable.
Anyways, AJ, go on, man. You introduced the episode.
Today's topic is actually quite relevant. It's quite recent when we're recording this. How recent or how relevant it will be by the time this is out depends. But anyway, we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the events that are happening within the royal family. So Meghan Markle, is that her name?
Yeah.
Meghan Markle.
I was just about to say they're cousins, but it's the other lot, innit?
It's about a lot about
Cousins.
cousins, yeah. We'll talk about that in a much more deeper context. But yeah, we're basically going to talk about the breakup, their breakup from the royal family, so Meghan Markle and Harry, and we're also going to draw comparisons within our culture too, and also talk about why they'd break up, what's been said, and what it means.
Cool.
Where
Can
do you
you-
want to start then, man?
Let's start with
Just give us a general context of like what's happened. A very high level overview of.
oh god, I can't give you a high level overview. I mean, we're not
I'll
talking-
give you one.
All right,
give you one.
you give one.
This is as much as I know. So obviously everyone knows Harry and Meghan Markle. They're married and they've been wanting to live their life how they wanted to, aside the royal pressures and the sort of the job description that comes with it.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's
And
a
I
lot.
think that's what it is.
Yeah, but
there
the
was-
thing is, with Meghan, she didn't actually realize the scrutiny of and the intensity of the pressure from the media until she got married to the guy. Like, I bet you, man, it started from the wedding day. Like, you saw how big it was. We all saw how big it was, and then she got pregnant. And that's when things intensified.
But how do you not expect that if you're getting married into the royal family?
I don't think people realize.
What can you give an example of pressure? Of
Bro,
what?
like her life. You know how what's the other one's name?
Kate Middleton.
Kate Middleton. If you compare, and I saw this today, bro. If you compare one headline, and this was about her baby bump, Kate Middleton's there, she's holding a baby bump, and Daily Mail have written a beautiful headline for her. Exact same thing for Meghan Markle. they've written like a derogatory.
Like, what did they write?
I can't remember off the top of my head, man. I think I saved it, man.
Do you know what? There's a few reasons why I think that is.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, probably the most controversial, and it's been mentioned before, the skin color.
Yeah.
Second, nothing to do with skin color, but is she Canadian? Is she American?
I think Canadian.
She's some
Canadian.
sort of American, right? North American, Canadian, or whatever. I think those are the two reasons. But also, I wouldn't say it's because they're not related, because I believe that Kate Middleton and what's his name, Prince William aren't related, are they?
Are they related?
Yeah,
They're related?
They're cousins.
Yeah. So
They're cousins. Okay. Well, there's three solid
She
reasons.
has royal blood before
Okay.
she was married.
Well, there's three solid reasons. Meghan Markle hasn't got royal
Oh,
blood.
bruv, I can't find it. But what I'm gonna do is when I do the video, when I do the edit, I'll just stick it on the screen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so bad. I think I pronounced her name wrong again.
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Let's
is
just call her
Meghan Markle,
Meghan,
innit?
man.
It is Meghan Markle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I
yeah.
might have
Yeah.
just pronounced it
So
wrong.
yeah,
but-
there's the racism issue, which we know from what
And-
Stormzy said about UK being racist. I don't think living in America. I don't think she realized that, bro. I don't think she
You know what?
realized when
And
she
for
was
the
coming.
for the viewers who think that, oh, these guys are a bunch of conspiracy theorists and stuff, and how can the royal family be racist? I mean, look at some events that happened in the past where non royal blood has been, well, like for example Diana and her affair with what was his name? The Muslim by the Arab guy.
Mohammed, I've got it here. Mohammed
The Harrods
Al
guy.
Fayed.
Yeah.
The Harrods
And
guy.
Egyptian.
a lot of people say that she was killed for that reason. So if you say that racism doesn't exist in the royal family, I mean,
I think that's one of the things. Harry done that interview.
Yeah.
Did you see it as well? He was talking about
Mhm.
if you guys knew what I know,
that
you
was
wouldn't
mad.
think this is absurd.
He also said that the reason why he called it quits on the royal family was to protect his own family, to protect his own wife, and he learned from what happened to his mother,
oh yeah.
and he didn't want history to repeat itself, basically.
Yeah. So what are you saying? Like, was he saying protect from the media and whatever?
protect
The
her from
light.
like maybe getting killed in
Yeah,
a car
yeah.
crash or
But
whatever.
is that-
Who knows? It could mean that. It could mean
Yeah.
anything.
But does she look? Okay, it's the only way I know. I don't know Meghan, but I've seen her in the Suits series,
I watched up to like season 3 or 4. then it
and
got
she's
boring.
a bit like nah. Sorry, bro. I didn't mean to look at you like that, bro.
Can a man
Bloody
not
hell,
cough
mate,
now, yeah?
I thought a bomb went off. I thought it was a royal family coming for us.
Nah, it's just whenever this guy or you or whoever coughs, yeah, I'm just like that's another 5 minutes on the edit.
Yo,
But anyway.
I don't cough, man.
But anyway, what was I saying? What was my trailer for? What was I saying?
I basically told you Suits was shit, and
Oh, yeah.
you tried defending that.
Okay,
but
Suits is
you were
not-
saying something else.
Nah, Suits is amazing. But anyway, obviously she's acting, but she came across a bit like manipulative in that series. But look, that's got nothing to do with this because it was acting, right? But do you guys think she's is her influence like
Of her role. you say?
nah off like her as a person? She doesn't know what the royal family are like. She's come from an acting career. She probably misses that, and she's wanting to go away and do her own thing again. That she doesn't realize, bro. If she got married to someone else, she might have, and she didn't like the way it was going. She probably could have got a divorce or something. But because she's married into the royal family, yeah, you can get a divorce. But
She
it's
should have
so-
watched The Crown on Netflix, because that would have given her a good idea of what goes
Yeah,
on
But she's
in
fearful,
Buckingham
bro.
Palace.
But at the end of the day, I feel like she's missing what she used to do. She's missing her career, and she wants to go live her own life, which is like it's fair enough,
But
man. If the both of them,
I think if she was treated the same as Kate, I think she would have much less of a problem.
yeah.
So there's definitely there's definitely something there when it comes to.
It's a big lifestyle change as well.
yeah.
You need to bear in mind, if you think about our marriages, right? Like when I got married to my wife,
So,
there's a cultural shift, right? It was different. My family are different to her family. There's certain things that she could get away with doing with her family, but she can't with my family, and there's certain behaviors as well, and certain behaviors that she has to follow and she has to adapt. Whereas going from being a single actor in Canada, living life the way that you want, to going into a family that has procedures for everything. Like literally everything is a procedure. That's why I said, if you haven't watched The Crown, watch it. Like the way that you greet people, the way that you get out of bed. There's people dressing you before you go to sleep.
How you pick up a spoon and that.
How you pick up a spoon.
You lose your freedom.
You lose your freedom. Everything has a process.
Especially as we know the West, like the West of the West. So we're in England, but even Western than us in America, they value independence like to an extremely another level. It's to another level, yeah. So she's used to that. She's grown up in that society. She's probably expecting that. But if you're coming into England and you're coming into a family that's so like they're a bit backward in a sense as well, right?
Well, if you say that, I mean, the royal family is like as high as upper class as it gets. But if you look at Asian culture, like our culture, and the way we just casually just let go of someone from our family, we're like, oh, you don't exist to us anymore. It's quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
One more thing as well, referring back to what Harry said in that interview, like about protecting his family. Do you guys know much about Charles, his dad?
Nah.
I know he looks.
Is he alive?
Yeah, he's alive.
He's alive. The guy that was in the Land Rover with like purple eyes and stuff. Is that him?
No, that's his grandfather. That's the Queen's husband. That's Philip.
Oh,
that's Philip. Yeah,
the one that everyone is
just
making memes about.
Yeah. So with Charles, when Charles was younger, the royal family had some concern over him. Like, for example, he wanted to marry his now wife, Camilla. They didn't agree with that because she wasn't the ideal candidate, you can say, which is why he eventually ended up marrying Diana. He had a lot of struggles growing up as well. I think he was quite different to the rest. He was more of a free thinker, whereas the way that they want to mold you and the way they expect their children or anyone else of a royal family to be, like, you need to not be a free thinker. You need to follow procedure. You need to be a certain way and act a certain way. Similarly to his great uncle, forgot his name, apologies from the top of my head. He actually was king and he left the royal family because he wanted to get married to a foreign lady who wasn't royal blood. Something like that. But anyway, he stepped down in order to pursue his love, and then he moved to France or whatever, and he was frowned upon. Charles was pretty similar in that sense. So when I interpret what Harry said, the way that I see it is he doesn't want his kids, maybe he's not even referring to just his wife, maybe he doesn't want his kids to go through that same thing, to be brought up like that, like you have to act this way, you have to live this way. Maybe he just wants them to be three children.
Well, if you look at who's the other guy, Prince Andrew, his brother. Is that his brother?
Who's brother?
Is Andrew his brother? I don't know. I don't know that
William.
much about.
No, there was a royal prince, the one that was friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
That was Andrew, yeah.
That was Prince Andrew.
That was Prince.
So, like,
Prince Andrew, yeah.
That
was Charles's brother.
Charles's brother, yeah. So like, what I think is like, there was a lot of cameras on him being good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and for the people that don't know, Jeffrey Epstein is Jeffrey Epstein, isn't it?
Something.
Or whatever,
like that.
Epstein or whatever.
The nonce.
Yeah. So he had a network of like, he had a network of friends, high profile friends, where he provided like, I think they were like sex slaves, and he got caught.
Right.
Well, he got caught. Yeah. So he got caught, and he died in prison, basically.
Okay.
They said that he committed suicide, but new evidence has come up that he was actually killed. So this guy was a good friend of his, this Prince Andrew, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that story was very recent, and then this happened, and I think they're just trying to take the light off that.
Maybe,
One
potentially.
thing I don't understand, and clarify this for me. So once they leave the royal family, so that's what they're doing, right? They're fully like
They
cutting
get
ties.
paid for it. They're on a salary.
They get paid to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
all that. Once they leave it, can they come back? And how, like, is it just like they're cutting away from like the commercial side of things, or because obviously family is family at the end of the day. They're gonna move away and they're gonna come back. I think they want to do they want to split their time between here and Canada.
Yeah.
So when they come back, are they gonna have to like make their own arrangements, their own security, this, that, the other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if they come back?
Yeah, yeah.
If they come in,
Yeah,
come
so
back into.
they said they're splitting their time. So the
Right.
time that they're here, they're not gonna be treated like royals.
I mean, it's not about being treated like royals. It's
No, but
following
when I-
royal duties.
Yeah, but when I say treat
Yeah,
like
they
royals,
won't be given that allowance.
No, there won't be. There won't be. So if they come back to England from North America, there won't be no expectation
that's
of
a
them. Basically,
bloody bold move, man.
yeah.
Well,
Imagine
I
that.
think
But think about it as human beings, right? Would you want to live a life where there's process for everything, for where you eat, for where you sleep, for
even
where
if you
speak?
were getting an allowance.
No, of course not. But what I'm trying to say is that he's the first person to do it in the.
No, he's
royal
not
No,
the
no,
first
he's
person.
He's not.
I mentioned the example of his great
Oh,
uncle.
who wanted to
Yeah,
marry a foreign
yeah.
lady.
And
So,
you know what?
so these guys are not allowed to open their own private businesses or whatever. So that's one of the main issues
they
right
get
now.
enough money. I don't think they need to.
Nah,
Yeah,
but
I know,
bro,
I know,
do you know
but
how
if you-
expensive like things like security are, man? That just security alone could potentially rinse him dry by
No.
not being a royal.
But what they're saying is, even if he's not a royal, even if he leaves the royal family, there's still a conflict of interest if he was to open up a private limited company.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
make
and
some kind
when
of
we're talking about
money.
security and stuff, if he moves to North America, so if he moves to Canada, I don't think he'll be as popular there as he is here. I don't think they're going to care about him that much. Maybe when he comes here, that'll be a bit of an issue, but in Canada, not so much.
I mean, Canada, man. I mean, there's a
The
lot
vibe I
there's
got
a
of
lot
Harry.
there's a lot of gang culture in Canada. You know, if you listen to Drake and that, you realize.
There's a lot of gang culture in London as well.
Nah, with Harry, the impression I get, he's just like he wants to be that free spirit kind of thing. He wants to do his own.
That's
thing.
what Charles wanted to be. That's what his dad wanted to be as well. But
And if you look at his mum, like Diana, she was like a free thinker. She went and done all these she used to go to all these third world countries and do all this work with them.
yeah,
And he was in the military, wasn't he, Harry, for a long time? Yeah. He was in the military. I think that when you go and experience something like war, I think it does. Obviously, when he's in the military, he's not going to be over there acting like a royal. He's not going to be like picking up spoons in a certain way. He's going to be a soldier.
but
So
they're all the men are trained to go into the military.
All of them, yeah.
Yeah,
But
even Charles was in the military.
he actually-
even William was in the military.
But what I'm saying is he actually went there, so he was away from all this royal stuff.
yeah,
So,
so
he
were
he
they.
experienced real
So
life.
were they.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
They've got all of them got military service.
Yeah, all of them.
I think they have to do, isn't it?
They have to do it. Yeah,
Mm.
they have to do it.
I think Harry done it for a long time, a lot.
Regardless
longer
of how long they done it, they all had to do it.
than, yeah. So what I'm saying is, I think Harry.
I don't even think it's for military stuff, man. I think like your mother has such an influence on your life, and maybe it is literally that reason. He's thinking about what happened to his mother. I'm not necessarily saying that they killed his mother off and he knows about it, but I think
It's right
he,
to say
he
that.
understands. He understands the pressures that she faced
Mm.
and all the challenges she faced. So it doesn't necessarily mean in that interview that he's saying they killed my mum. It could mean so many different things. Because he's in the royal family, he knows more than the outside world as well. So he can see challenges that we don't even see.
But it could relate to different incidents, innit? Like you were saying that his dad wanted to marry his current wife.
Yeah, he
And-
did.
Yeah.
He wanted to marry his current wife, but
Yeah,
then he
but-
married Diana because I think that's what the royal family wanted him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be anyone behind.
But you know that you know what
accident.
you said about the about it can't be the fact that he knows that his his mum got killed.
I didn't say it can't be that fact.
No,
I'm just saying like
It's not definite that
it's
it
not
is.
definitely
Yeah.
fact.
But if you
fact.
break down the interview, he talks about the media and all that beforehand. So
Mhm.
he's already established that context. But then he says, and also if if people knew what I know, so that's a whole different context. He's already spoken about the media one, so
Yeah, but we can't
It is
see
kind of
we can't see what goes on in Buckingham Palace
Yeah,
on a day-to-day
yeah.
basis.
yeah.
That interview's got so many connotations behind it, bro.
I mean, I know that a lot of weird stuff, especially like where the other guy, I forgot, Andrew, was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and the kind of parties they have and stuff. I know there's a lot of weird stuff that happens.
Trust me,
in
they
this
get
high
away
society.
with a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah, and the racism thing. Do you remember a few years ago you saw Harry's video
Yeah.
about what was it? It was something racist he was saying.
Listen, they get away with
Harry was saying,
Yeah.
they get away with so
Bro,
much.
just because he's doing this, it doesn't mean like he's a good bloke like that. He's
No, I
still
think-
got bare shit on him.
no, but I think if you were to part ways with an allowance, a big allowance, and you were to part ways with the royal family and like the benefits that come with it, I think he is a little bit different from his family. Or
I'm talking in the view that he's still got that racist thing in him.
what
we
racist thing?
don't we can't paint him as bro. You've not seen those videos, man.
Who are we talking
I'm
about?
gonna-
Harry.
Harry. I'm gonna try load it up. You lot have a chat.
Well, I mean, his wife's mixed race, so
Nah, racist against Pakistanis.
Really?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna load it up,
Was he drunk?
bro. He was in the military, bro. Una kete sharaba milyan.
Yeah.
Bro, it doesn't matter if you're drunk or not, bro. If you're saying racist things, you're accountable for that.
yeah. But look, the royal family, they get away with a lot of things, and if they're
What's
if
his
they're,
surname? I keep
Harry.
typing in Harry Maguire, bro. What's his name?
Prince Harry. Prince Harry.
Prince Harry.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, Prince Harry.
Harry Maguire, you know.
Um,
But yeah, whilst he's searching for that, we can draw so many comparisons with our own culture as well, right?
yeah, man. So many.
Especially those variables that we mentioned, such as not just skin color, but also where someone's from. Imagine like you got
Caste.
married, caste, even the country they're from, right? Even if you married like, I don't know, a Somalian Muslim, you bring her home to your family,
You're straight out without a meeting.
they'll be like, who's this Gali you brought home?
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. And I've heard some horrible stories in Pakistan where a guy from the village goes to another country to educate himself,
Yeah.
goes back to the village and gets killed because he shouldn't have left the village in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like they have their own systems.
Found it. The Independent wrote an article. He's like, Prince Harry should face disciplinary action for calling an Asian soldier our little packy friend.
No, man, that's calm, man.
And then
it's
describing another officer as a raghead. And
calm. Okay, raghead is racist.
Yeah, and then there's some stuff about the Nazi thing as well.
Let's leave that for
Little
now.
packy
Yeah.
friend, I don't really mind. Man.
Let's leave that for now because
Yeah.
it's not that interesting.
You asked me to load it up. No, I'm just saying.
I get it. I
it's
get what you're
can't-
saying.
can't-
Everyone's thinking that Harry's, he's a G and that. But
listen, he's in the public eye like 24/7. They all are. I'm sure if we were in the public eye 24/7, there'd be something on us.
Yeah,
as well.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
no one's perfect. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Ethnic
So
Like-
I can
I've
forgive
given
that.
you nicknames that people would probably say that this guy is some kind of phobic or something.
Yeah, of course,
Do you know what I'm saying?
of course, of
Okay.
course. But
Coming back to the topic.
coming back to what we were talking about, yeah, honor killings. If we're
Oh
talking
my
about
God,
conspiracy
yeah,
theories,
yeah.
and you're mentioning
Honor killings, yeah.
Diana,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If we believe that conspiracy theory to be true, we're basically saying it was an honor
It
killing.
was an honor killing, yeah. And honor killings happened quite a lot. Honor killing is like
You shamed our family, so
Yeah.
then they end up killing.
It's not just in Pakistan. If you look at the Asian culture, it's like that.
It's in the
Yeah,
UK
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
They do it in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
About-
documentary I watched recently, yeah. They got this girl married. She's from the UK. They got her married back home. She got murdered by her in-laws back home. I don't remember the
Oh,
story.
she changed. She didn't want to marry him anymore.
She didn't want to marry him anymore. I think, no, initially, like, she was being emotionally blackmailed into marrying him, so she gave in. She
Yeah.
got married to him. She got told to live in Pakistan with him.
Yeah.
Or maybe, no, sorry, that's a lie. She came back to England. She used to, talk to him on the phone all the time. But then he used to get really angry because there were times where she was busy with stuff. I could be wrong, but I'm trying to think of this the best that I can, or try and remember this the best that I can. Anyway, he must have requested for her to come back home and live with him there. She came back home to live with him there, and then I don't know what happened, man. I wish I knew. It would have been such.
The result was that she got killed.
The result was she got killed because she disrespected the family, or she made the family look bad. There's a Swedish movie that I watched as well where there was this girl, right? She dressed a certain way, so she'd wear crop tops or whatever. She was quite, as we say, modern. And she basically was going out with this white guy, and this white guy would creep up into her flat and do stuff, right? Like cuddle or whatever. There was this one occasion where her dad walked in on her, and then he started beating the shit out of the guy, and then he beat her up and whatnot. And then and then the next day she went to college or something, came back home, and her brother and her dad were like, get in the car. She gets in the car, yeah. She goes, Dad, where are we going? They're driving for a couple of hours now. He doesn't tell her anything, and she starts to look worried. They got on a ferry, and she's thinking, oh, where are we going? What's going on? And then eventually she ends up in Pakistan.
Ooh.
She ends up in Pakistan, and then
that sounds a bit like Road to Guantanamo Bay.
Watch it, man. It's on Amazon Prime. Forgot what it's called, but if you Google the synopsis, girl, Swedish, Pakistani girl, marriage, Muslim or whatever,
at the end of the day,
up.
if a girl is acting a certain way, like she's got a boyfriend or whatever, wearing crop tops, that's like,
it got to a point at the end of the movie. I won't ruin it for anyone, but at the end, her dad, is so disgraced with her, so ashamed, he takes her to a cliff and he's about to kill his own daughter.
Yeah.
He's literally about to kill his own daughter, push her off the cliff. She's already been through so much shit at this time. If you watch the movie, you feel sorry for her. She's been through so much. He just doesn't care. He's just concerned about his pride. And it's mad.
That's why I always think if honor killing comes back to a man or a boy, some of them doesn't deserve to live.
Yeah,
because boys always get away with all the shit they've done. And then
a guy can do whatever,
and
it's not a disgrace to the family. But if a girl does it, then it's like you've disgraced our family tree, ancestry. You've disgraced.
Not even that, man.
Our ancestors are probably looking down in shame.
Look, we've all
our neighbours are looking at us in shame.
Yeah, 100%.
And the milkman. And
one thing that's important to remember as well, we've all got sisters, and women are very vulnerable. So it's not just the case of men getting away with things. It's also the fact that women are so vulnerable and so weak and so fragile. In most cases, I hope I'm not called a sexist or whatever for this. I'm just, I'm trying to side with the women here.
When he says weak, he means like physically weak.
Physically weak. That sometimes they're in situations that they just can't get out of, whereas men, we can. So there's also that disadvantage there too.
That ties in well with what we were discussing earlier.
Yeah.
But you might have to be on that podcast if you want, when we discuss about it. Yo, I'm about to kill you for what you wrote on Trello, bro.
What did I write?
At the end, I'm not going to repeat it.
Okay.
That
was just I know. That was just a test.
I can't even remove that, even though I'm the admin.
that was just just a bit of a test, just to show Wakar that it was working.
But it's crazy that we can draw this comparison with backward, because it's quite backward for us. Like somebody from back home would do that, like kill their own child. To us, it's quite backward. But to make that comparison with the highest of the highest, as in high society, as the royal family, it's kind of crazy. Like it's kind of like,
it's not crazy if you look at it, because we're here calling it backwards. What does backwards mean? Backward means back in time, right?
Yeah.
Back in the old days, like this is ancient stuff. For royal family, where does it come from? Back in the days.
Yeah.
It's not a modern thing. No one gives a shit about the royal family now.
Yeah.
The only reason they're still here is because of the tourists. There's no other reason why the royal family is still prevalent, apart from that fact.
I think they still hold some kind of power, because like remember the Brexit stuff and
it's all to do with tourism.
Yeah.
like you have to give them that power, otherwise they're not really kings and queens or royal family. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to give them the same, not the same level of influence, but some level of influence, so to make it more touristy, to make it more realistic, right? And plus it's traditional, it's culture. It's been like this for years and years and years. You can't just have a royal family that have no influence.
Do you think that you know how there's a lot of liberal views, and you know the way our country is heading towards, like, you know, there's a lot of rights for like the LGBTQ community and stuff.
We're going there again, yeah.
Do you think that the royal family would stand for one of their members for being like gay or coming out as like gender binary or something?
I don't think so.
And it's so weird that they don't accept that for their own family, but they, when it comes to the public, they don't mind.
But
pushing
that's the thing. Everything that they do is to please the public. They need the public because the public is what keeps them in power. The public is who pays them. So they need to please the public. If they don't please the public, then they're in trouble. There was a situation where, I think it was in the 60s, I forgot, man. I wish I was a bit more knowledgeable on this topic, but this is a fact, yeah. The Conservatives were in power. When Churchill was in power, actually. Churchill had a great relationship with the Queen. She loved Churchill, yeah. When Churchill got ill, they had a general election. And in that general election, Labour were voted in, and Labour is like the party of the people, right? Right, for working class. The royal family were concerned that because Labour are now in power, they're going to do what they can to remove the royal family. So that was one of their concerns. But the Prime Minister at the time, forgot his name so bad, but the Queen really liked him, and what was I going to say, man? You made me lose my train of thought. For those of you that can't see, yeah, Arkib's doing some of the camera work, and it's put me off. But yeah, so Labour Prime Minister gets into power, Queen is concerned, and then she ends up liking him, and what he says to her is, yes, like constituents, like his colleagues and the other MPs or whatever, they have voted, or they prefer if there was no royal family, but I don't actually have a problem with you guys. And he actually had an influence on the public because he's Prime Minister, right, and has a influence on his party as well because he's a party leader. Eventually that wasn't the case. Him and the Queen and the royal family had a great relationship, and yeah, it was all about public opinion.
Yeah.
If the public decides tomorrow that we don't want the royal family, and there's a majority of the British public that says we don't want the royal family, they won't exist. I don't
think that's true, man.
It's true. Their existence depends on the public.
I do not think that's true.
It does. We pay their salaries.
Yeah, I know, but I don't.
Is that not true? Do we not pay their salaries?
100%.
Okay, so if we say we don't want to pay their salaries, can that be forced upon us?
What you can't decide.
Are we not living in a democracy?
No,
we're not living in a democracy. We're
living in a so-called democracy. Yes.
Yeah,
on paper, yeah,
exactly. So that's what I mean. I'm just talking hypothetically. Yeah,
you can't. You know, when you pay tax, you can't say I want to pay this much tax, but because I don't agree with the rest, so I'm not want to pay less tax. You can't do that.
True, but if there was, let's say, a petition, and 60% of the British population said that we don't want our tax money to go to the royal family, there is a case there. There is a case there for that to happen. Trust me, they are not. We are
talking about a family that once upon a time had control of the majority of the planet.
Okay, but now we are talking about a family that are just there for tourists.
No, because
yes,
quite recently, Boris Johnson had to get the Queen's approval for something like Brexit.
Yes, because that is procedure. Okay, that's tradition.
What if she said no? It would have been a no.
Yeah.
Okay, but they have to give, like I said, they have to keep some power. You can't take away all of the power, otherwise there's no point of a royal family.
I think, that obviously the royal family, they are like as elite as it gets, and I don't know, you might not agree with this, but I believe that there's a few families on the planet that rule the world, basically. That's my opinion. I believe that there's like a handful of families who have enough power and influence, and that they call the shots, and they say they decide on the outcomes of economy. I personally believe this. I don't think that we as a people can vote for the royal family to have zero power. I don't believe that. I don't think that could ever happen, man.
I don't think they'll even let the public get to that stage.
I don't think.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying I believe it will happen. What I'm saying is it is possible, but it won't happen because the majority will never vote for that to happen. And even if they do, there'll be a way to counteract that. So I can't see it happening. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's not impossible.
I mean, alright.
Can we go back to the point on comparing it to our culture as well? Because another interesting thing is keeping it in the family. They like keeping it in the family.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
And in our culture, we like keeping it in the family as well. So that's another reason why Meghan was frowned upon, I think.
Yeah.
For them, it's about the control, right?
Yeah.
Keep it within the family. You keep the control.
Yeah, and you keep the culture, you keep the traditions, you keep the processes.
You keep your blood.
Because you know how
exactly.
Meghan came into the family and she's finding all these processes and all these duties and all these procedures a
task,
burden.
A task or a burden. Yeah.
Someone within the family, they'll be used to that. They wouldn't find those things a burden.
Yeah, because it's natural, because they're so used to doing it. It's like I was telling Wakad when I was driving, do you know what? I've been daydreaming for the last 5 minutes, and we've been having a conversation. I've been visualizing the conversation that I haven't even been focusing on the road. But look, I'm driving. It's just natural because I'm so used to it.
Autopilot.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I find it quite. The one thing I find disturbing is the way the royal family conduct themselves. They obviously think it's the right way to conduct themselves. You know, they might have their reasoning behind it, but they don't. The difference between the royal family and the normal person is, they say to us, like, you can live however you want to live. Like I said about the LGBTQ stuff, the gay stuff, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if that stuff was to happen within the family, that would not be tolerated. So that should tell you a little bit about.
I'd say that we do the same as well. We tolerate it. We tolerate it. Like, you know what? You can do whatever you want, be whatever you want to the outside public.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we wouldn't allow it in our families.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
100%.
where that's also where the cultures are similar, right?
Yeah. But I think people should understand, like, you know how if I was to say in Pakistani culture, there's a tradition where sometimes the cousins get married or whatever, people might say, oh well, that's backward, that's ain't whatever, but if you were to say the royal family, oh yeah, maybe they'll give 101 reasons as to why they
do you know that. What
do you know what I mean?
I think there's a bit of disparity there, and I'll tell you why. The royal family, they get married in their own family, but they don't marry their first cousins, right? Because even the general white person or whatever would have no problem with marrying their second cousin or whatever. That's not really frowned upon. That's pretty normal. It's pretty, I wouldn't say it's common, but it's normal. It happens, yeah.
Second cousin is not normal in this country. It's not. It's not looked at. It's looked down upon.
It is.
I think
you need to understand the definition of second cousin in English culture is also different to the
I know. It's like
our definition.
What we would see as a niece or nephew, so cousins, kids, they see as a cousin. It's weird.
Yeah, it's
so
different.
We see them as niece.
It's different. It's not weird. That's the proper way. We don't do it the proper way.
What do you mean?
The way that we.
So Arka's my cousin. If he had a
I'm
child,
not marrying you, by the way.
Huh?
I'm not marrying you.
So Arka's my cousin. Yeah. If he had a child, that would be my nephew or niece.
Yeah.
But to them, it would
To
be
them,
my
it
cousin.
would be their cousin. Yeah. But that's the actual way. 'Cause
How?
bear in mind, we're using English words here. These are English terminologies.
Yeah.
So that's the proper way.
What's cousin in Albanese, man?
Cousin.
Cousin.
Yeah.
Nah, no way, man. Back
Cuzzy,
in the
bro. That's what it is.
Day, no, back in the day, families, they wouldn't have said cousin. What would they have said?
I say brother, man.
Dad potra,
Brother.
pupera, mulera.
दादे ना पोतरा नहीं दत पोतरा ते दुआ मद पोतरा
Mulera.
Malera pupera.
Musera.
Yeah, that's okay. That's oh, you was gonna. Do you need to say anything?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, touching on that point as well, like, we're not too different, man. The way that we speak to our families, the way that we greet, the things that we do, the way that we eat, we actually have processes as well, but with them, it's a lot more...
There's too much of a disparity between their family and the rest of the British society.
That's exactly what I was saying.
yeah,
That's
but
what I mean to say. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
no,
looks
I agree.
common with our culture, you know. We have a lot of similarities with them.
No, but the
so-
reason why they find it strange is because
Why
the
do you
rest of
think?
the
Why
soc-
do you think that is, though? Why do you think that disparity is there?
the rest of the society is not living like that?
Okay, but why do you think that is?
They want to differentiate that, but themselves.
And
No,
they've
it's
got,
not that.
and they've got freedom.
It's not that the idea of the monarch, yeah, it's very old. All these processes, all these things they do is very old. Times have changed, but what they do hasn't changed. That's all it is. So we're talking about the general British public, but
So do we live in a monarchy?
ages, like years ago, let's say the time when King Henry VIII was about with his like 5 wives or however many it were, the general British society that we're talking about were probably
moved on.
very similar to the royal family.
No, they used to, they used to poo in buckets and chuck it out the window and stuff.
How do you know the royal family didn't do that? Were toilets invented back then?
No, you'll be surprised. So they used to, even in like royalty, say for example, if I'm a prince or something, I need to go toilet, they would bring me the toilet. So the servants would bring me the toilet and I'd relieve myself here and then they'd wash me. And
Okay,
whatever.
but what I'm saying is the attitudes, right? The mentality was similar.
They were
I'm not
quite
talking
backward back in
about...
the days.
Huh?
They were quite backward back
Yeah,
in the
because it
days.
was back in the days, man. That's
Yeah,
what backwards is.
No, but what I'm saying is compared to other
They don't do
cultures,
it now, though.
compared to other cultures, they were quite backward in terms of...
How do you know? What was Pakistani culture like back then?
You know, even worse. Not
wait,
worse.
have you
Actually,
seen
worse
Horrible
is not the
Histories?
right
Have you
word.
seen Horrible Histories? When you were at
Nah,
GCSEs and that.
No, man.
Mate, you need to watch all of that, man. They were quite like when it came to cleanliness and stuff. They were like
Yeah, because they were royal, they were rich. Yeah. Like,
Most
We're not-
But you
kingdoms
can't
do
imagine the
we're
queen
not...
ordering some.
We're not-
Yeah, come. I need to.
No, but we're not broke.
Yeah.
We're not broke, yeah. But we've got some money still, alhamdulillah, yeah.
Mm.
Back in those days, imagine back in those times, yeah. Even if you weren't rich, if you had money, I'm sure you'd be living not exactly like the royal family, like in a big palace and that. But you'd probably have servants as well. Look in Pakistan, they got servants.
Yeah,
Yeah,
servants
yeah,
is
yeah.
fine. But what I'm saying is how you use those servants.
No,
right?
but we're talking about backwards, yeah.
They
Back
weren't.
No,
home,
no,
they
no.
got servants.
Listen. This okay. What I'm saying is, yeah,
You said British culture
British
back
culture
then was
but-
probably
no,
worse than our
I'm saying-
culture, yeah.
I'm saying British royalty.
Okay.
I'm saying royalty. So like, I would draw a comparison between the royalty back then, yeah, to say the royalty in Africa somewhere, some kind of African nation.
Nah,
with
man.
the royalty.
Trust me, it was the same. It
or-
was the same.
It wasn't the same.
It was the
It
same.
wa-
It
Do
was
your
the
research.
same.
Do your history
Why
research.
wasn't it the same?
You know where the British learned how to bathe,
Yeah.
like properly bathe every week or so.
Mm-hmm.
It was from Africans.
Okay.
So people don't know this. People think that this society has always been like
But what?
ahead of the rest. That's not the case. They used to, like I said before, and I'm going to say it again. They used to order their servants. You can have all the money in the world, but they used to order their servants to bring them the toilet, and they would relieve themselves in front of a group of people.
Okay.
Now, is that?
I'm sure anyone with money in Britain back in those times was doing that because it would have been the norm.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that's the norm.
Yeah. So my point was, like, we're comparing them to the general British society now, but they've still got traditional values that they've upheld since those times.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're not putting in
They-
buckets
that's what I
anymore,
was
thank
just
God,
about to
but
say. They're not doing that.
Yeah,
But-
of course. But what I'm saying is it has changed over time. So, for example, some of the stuff that they need to, some of the things like the Jubilee stuff, the Queen's Jubilee and all that. That they have to put.
The Kohinoor.
Yeah, the car and all. That when the Jubilee happens and like it's like a public day off or something.
Okay,
That's
what
the
would
festival.
England be like if we didn't have the royal family now?
Would be a third world country.
Would be what?
Would be a third world
probably
country.
because we'd have less tourism.
No.
No, not a
If we
third
didn't-
world country. Wait, what are we talking about here?
If we didn't have the royal family,
Like from the beginning of time?
No, if we didn't have it now. So they've
Okay,
they've
now-
upheld that.
fine.
okay,
They've
fine.
upheld that tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's obviously some effect in the society, right?
Yeah, we'd suffer as an economy because they bring in so much
Away
tourism.
from tourism, bro. Their traditions, their values, their cultures, their control, their empire, all that. People wouldn't really have.
It wouldn't make a difference if it were.
No,
if it were to
I
go,
think it'd make a big.
why would it make a difference? Apart from tourism, why would it make a difference?
Of course, it'd make a difference.
Why
bro.
would it
they,
make a
What
difference?
do
They
you think?
control.
Tourists just came here to see
Bro,
kings and
listen.
If
queens?
they don't control, listen, they're allowed to have that control to uphold those traditional values. I said to
you know
Wagard
why?
a little earlier as well. You take away that power, then what's the point of them being royal?
Do you know
Trust
why?
me, they've got it for show.
England would lose a lot of power in the world if there was no royal family.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it would hit their economy. That's why economy is
No,
also
it's just
power.
not.
It's not just tourism, bro.
economy.
Bro,
It is.
back in the day, bro, there was kings and queens for a reason.
Do you know why?
That's back in the day. We're not back in the day
wait,
anymore.
Do you know the only reason why we don't have kings and queens now? If they could, they would have. If the public allowed it, they would have. But we wouldn't stand for that kind of stuff. We
Of
wouldn't
course,
we wouldn't
of
stand.
course.
So they're still a family, a very elite family with a lot of influence. They still exist, but they don't reign over us like a king or a queen. So we don't have to lobby against them and say, "Oh yeah, we want democracy or whatever."
Mhm.
We have so-called democracy in this country, yeah.
Mhm.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that they are the elite. They do, the Bank of England and other, families. The Arabs. Who's the guy that you said? Charles is he the dad? Yeah.
Charles is Harry and
Harry's-
William's father. Yeah.
So he's got really good relations with the Arabs.
Okay.
And they do a lot. They bring in a lot for the UK economy.
But their bloodline has enabled them to have those relationships. And yeah, of course, when you have relationships with powerful people, that makes you powerful
They
too.
run
Makes
the
you
world,
got powerful
bro.
ties.
They
but
run the world, bro.
What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
if we got rid of them tomorrow, it'd make no difference. The only difference it would make is on the economy. That's it.
I think it would be better. I think it would be better if the royal family did not exist, and we had a true democracy. I think it would be better. Like we'd be able to vote in laws that we want. Do you know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like, I'll give you a quick example. I'm going to go back to the LGBTQ thing again, yeah? But the majority of the people were against the schooling and all that. But we live in a democracy, so shouldn't
So
we...
are you talking about laws that the Queen has passed?
I'm talking about somebody somewhere up there in the elite, is pulling the strings. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
Parliament.
about. Was there, for all these laws with the schools and like the change of curriculum and, all this LGBTQ stuff, do you remember there being some kind of vote from the public to say, we want this?
The public doesn't have to vote for things. That's what MPs in Parliament.
It would turn
do.
into a republic, right?
What?
If there was no royal family, England would turn into a republic,
Like America, yeah.
like Republic of Ireland, fam.
But besides the point, yeah, not everything has to be public. Do we think that the whole LGBTQ, have I got that right?
No, plus. You forgot the plus.
LGBTQ plus,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that's such an important matter that it deserves a public vote?
Of course.
It is.
Of course, mate.
It's important to you.
We live, listen, No, it's important to everyone. There was
Come on,
votes.
man. There's so many
There
laws
were
that are
public
constantly
votes.
changing. So many laws that are passed. Are they going to run every single one?
Every
by the
single major
public?
one. Of
Why
course,
do we?
live
Why
in a
do we?
democracy.
Why do we have MPs?
We live in a
Why-
so-called democracy.
Why do we have MPs and people in Parliament? Why are they there?
They're there to
For themselves.
they're there to like propose things and get them approved or whatever.
They discuss laws, and then when they want to pass a law, it goes through the royal family. I don't know the procedure, but that's what they do.
Okay.
Basically, what the crux of it is, what I'm saying is,
Like we see,
there's an elite family that have control over what the laws are in the UK.
nah, man. Look, they have influence. They don't have control. If the public, for example, vote for something and it's brought forward to the Queen is going to pass it because it's what the public wants. And as I mentioned, the royal family want to keep the public sweet.
Okay, we could go all day on about this, but I think we probably need to be educated on this. Someone can probably
Wait, hang on a second.
educate us.
Just
in
quick
the
point on
comments.
that one. Quick point on that one. Yeah, when the public voted, there were numerous streams. So the news,
Public voted on what? What are we talking about?
the Iraq War. Yeah.
Okay.
So when there was news channels and when there was all these polls and the public were against the Iraq War, but it still happened. What happened then? How did the Queen pass it then? Why did it was?
There wasn't a vote.
Huh?
There wasn't a vote.
No, but there was a general consensus from the public that they didn't want to go to war.
Okay, but there wasn't a vote.
No, but when Tony Blair was in power and when it was time.
Oh,
for
okay. We're talking about back then.
yeah.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah. Those times.
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
And the public were against it. That's why he got so much backlash, because the public said we didn't want this, but you still went ahead. You still went ahead with it.
Okay.
So if our best interest is in the Queen's, if it's there, it's all about money. It's all about control, and they do control a lot.
Let's
Look, sorry,
They don't have to
very
leave-
quickly. I'll
yeah.
make it very quickly. Yeah, I don't remember what happened back then because I was too young. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
You-
you're a bit younger than me, but
Okay. Was there a vote?
to go to war. No,
Back then, was there a vote?
to go to war.
If there wasn't a vote, then you can't actually say for a fact that the public didn't want it
No,
as
no,
a
no.
majority.
No.
'Cause-
I'm talking about polls. Like recently, there were polls that the news, this morning and
Let's
all
not
these.
talk about recently. We're talking about that
Okay,
time. Talk
I'm-
about that time.
Talk about that time and recently. Yeah, there's been polls about the LGBTQ stuff. There's been polls about the Iraq
Forget
War.
about that, man.
Listen,
just for war. Focus on the war.
Listen. What I'm saying is, there's been polls now. There were polls then. There's been polls now where the public are against it. Majority of the public are against it. There was polls then where the majority of the public were against the Iraq War, but they still went to war, regardless of what the public wanted.
Forget about the poll. Was there a vote? Trust
I
me.
don't know.
If we go on Twitter, yeah, when the general election was going on, yeah, you would have seen the polls on Twitter and you would have thought that Jeremy Corbyn was going to be Prime Minister. Was that the case?
No, but the,
Got absolutely smashed.
Twitter polls are not reflective of
Exactly.
polls in
He's
society.
Okay, but what guy's talking about polls. He's not talking about an actual British public vote, like voting
Bro,
campaign
you
or
can't
whatever.
you can't give that power to the public, man, to go to war or not. The idiots
Exactly.
I
get that. I understand that. But at the same time, you can't tell me that the majority didn't want it because we don't know what the majority actually wanted.
No. The majority.
It's based on assumption.
No, it's not based on assumption.
It's based on assumption.
No.
If you
It's
look
based
at
on
sample
vote.
data
Hang
now,
on a second. What is a vote?
You said poll.
What is a vote?
A vote is a vote.
What? No, you explain what a vote is.
A vote is a vote, man. How do
explain-
you want me to explain this?
Explain what a vote is.
A
There's
vote,
four
a vote
people
is
here.
formal.
There's four
A vote
people
is
here.
formal.
Yeah. Okay. So look, there's 4 people here. Yeah. If we do a vote on whether this table is white or black, yeah, the majority of the people that vote is what the general like. This is what we feel like it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is a poll?
A poll is
It's the exact same
a poll
thing.
is
Without
if I went online to take part in a poll, I can do it on multiple different computers. That's what a poll is.
So you're saying
If
it
a
was
poll
rigged.
was a
So
paper
you're saying-
poll on a
hang on a second,
newspaper,
hang on a
I
second.
can buy multiple newspapers and tick the same thing.
Hang on a second.
I'm 10 people at once.
Hang on a second. So you're saying that they rigged the polls,
No, I'm not saying that.
or you're saying something along
I'm
the
not
lines
saying
of
that. I'm not saying that, man. The polls happened, no doubt about that. But what I'm saying is, even if the polls show that a majority voted against the war, it doesn't factually reflect what is actually the case. Like, if there was a public vote, maybe it would have been different. I'm saying maybe. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm not saying you're right. You're saying you're right. That's what I'm saying. You
just
can't
saying,
be right. I'm not saying you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong. But
I'm
you
just
can't
saying
say
that
you're right as
okay,
well.
what I'm saying is if there can be 1 million people that gather in Hyde Park and all chanting the same thing, and the majority of the people that are being interviewed, the majority of them are saying we are against the war, we don't want Tony Blair to be prime minister, blah blah blah, XYZ, yeah. If 1 million people can gather in one place and say that this is the views of everyone else, the news people are saying this, everyone who's being interviewed is saying this war should not happen, how can you just be blind, and how can the Queen be blind and just say we should go to war? If you when Tony Blair stopped becoming prime minister, yeah, the biggest scrutiny he had was that he went to war in Iraq. That was the general.
Look, I don't agree with the war or anything. Yeah, we're talking about polls. We're talking about polls.
We're
what I'm
talking
saying
about
is,
a general
but
consensus amongst the
polls
public. Yeah.
polls do not necessarily represent the majority. And you can't say
But
the majority.
you were just talking about earlier.
You can't say the majority of people voted in a specific poll to not go to war, because you're talking about a specific poll. There can be multiple polls.
That's just stats.
No, I'm
yeah,
talking about multiple.
That's just That's just stats. Yeah, stats ain't facts. We know that. If we go outside, we ask 100 people, majority of them would say no one wanted a war and they wouldn't want to go to war again.
Now, because we know the backlash from it.
Even then, bro, there is no one in their right mind, unless they're EDO, that they
How
want
about
to go.
petitions?
There is people, man.
Wait,
There's
hang
people
on.
that want to go to war.
Why would
How
you
about
want to go?
petitions that were signed by millions?
What about them?
Petitions are they're signed by millions. You were talking about petitioning to get rid of the royal family.
A million people signed the petition, but there's 1 million people that didn't as well. Do you get what I'm saying?
So you're saying that every single person in the country has to vote, have a registered vote against them, whether they should go to war or not, and that forms a general consensus.
I can easily say, look, the Tories, they won the general election. Yeah. The majority wanted the Tories, but someone could argue that and say, look, there's 2 or 3 million working class people that would have voted Labour, but they didn't, and the Tories won. What I'm saying is that you can't say the majority of the country when the majority of the country didn't take part in that poll, and the poll is not a vote. If there was a vote and the country voted to not go to war, we probably wouldn't have gone to war.
So
a poll. What I'm saying, yeah, I don't even know why we had this chat. A poll is not formal. If it was a vote, different story.
So, do you ever think that? Okay, fine, I agree with you. Yeah. Do you ever think that the government?
Hallelujah.
Do you ever?
What does that mean?
It means thank God.
It was his poll.
Anyways, listen. Do you ever think that the government would put or the Queen or whatever, they would actually vote for something like this? Do you think that they would want the public to
vote for war? For war? Is that what you're asking?
Sounded like a joke.
Oh God.
No, but do you think that for not just war, just generally like big things like that? Do you think they would put the public on a pedestal to say
no? They
what
wouldn't.
Do you want?
They wouldn't.
Exactly.
They wouldn't.
Exactly. So that's exactly my point. So if they, it's not even on the tables. Like a vote isn't even on.
That's
you know what I mean,
brothers. Honestly, yeah. Leave the rest open for discussion, because we're gonna go round and round in circles. You wrapped your point up. You wrapped.
By the way,
up.
I just want to add a quick disclaimer. Disclaimer. I'm not like a political specialist. I'm not extremely knowledgeable. I'm not.
That's quite obvious.
It's very obvious.
When he said vor, which means he's a Nazi.
No, it means I got like a speech. What do you call it? Speech defection.
Yeah.
Impediment.
Speech impediment. I don't actually have a speech impediment.
Moving on.
You got dry lips.
God just makes me really nervous.
Jemima Khan and Imran Khan.
Yo, you still got time for that?
That's my point. We haven't got time, but quick 5 minutes, bro.
Or you
I don't
wanna
know
draw
too
a
much
comparison?
about that relationship. To be
Aves,
honest.
you've not.
No,
I've
it
not.
is. You
Literally,
know what?
Aves.
So Imran Khan is from elite family. He was born with a silver spoon. But when he got married to Jemima, they faced kind of same problem because Jemima went there, lived there for about 10 years or so, yeah. And she said she's in love with Pakistan because, she lived there for 10 years. She still love it. But the thing is, again, she wasn't from the family, and she wasn't from the country. She wasn't from that religion, even though I think she accepted Islam. But still, they went through a lot. At the end of the day, even they loved each other dearly, but at the end of the day, they decided to split their ways because it wasn't working for them, And it could be same with the royal family.
Yeah, because when Imran Khan became prime minister,
No, it was
obviously-
before that when they got divorced. It was when I think he started struggling.
I think
with
there was like
politics and
some
stuff, yeah.
there was like some
And
threats
the-
made or something.
their opposers, they just spread different rumors. And
Yeah,
that,
yeah. They started
they
spreading
couldn't-
rumors about her. Yeah,
and
yeah.
they couldn't cope up with that.
Yeah.
So Khan chose Pakistan, and whatever, because he can't. If when he started struggle with politics,
Yeah.
he said he will live in Pakistan, and obviously she can't live in Pakistan at that time because of those rumors and different threats and stuff. So that's why the divorce happened.
Do you think that the media they play a big part in the way the royal family think about, say, for example, Meghan Markle? So do you think they're
Obviously,
fueling it? Do you think they're just gassing it up a
Yeah,
little
obviously. Of
Obviously,
course,
man.
Of course.
Media these days can do anything.
Look
you
at
know?
what they did to Jeremy Corbyn.
bit? Yeah,
Absolutely rinsed him.
because it's like, say for example, if something happened, with your wife or something, and the next year you'll be like, the Pakistani community are gonna look at us. The royal family is probably the same. They're like, oh, look what the media's saying. Look at what the world is saying about Harry and Meghan.
If you think
We've got to
about
do something about it.
if you think about general gossip as well, right? You hear about, I don't know, you hear something about Arkib.
Yeah.
Let's say you don't know him, you hear about him, you hear, I don't know, I don't want to give an example, but let's say he does something bad, you hear about it.
Yeah.
You're going to believe it's true if you don't know him personally.
Yeah.
So if there's a newspaper article about someone, for example, Meghan Markle, keep calling her Markle, Meghan Markle is arrogant
Mhm.
because of this and that, you're going to believe it because you don't know her personally. What you're reading off this paper is all you know of this person. And as humans, subconsciously, we take in that information and we believe it to be true unless proven otherwise. Like, we can interpret it in whatever way that we want, but there's a lot of people that don't think about it in a broader context. So there's some people that would read this and think, she's arrogant. I read it on this paper. This paper said that she's arrogant.
It's
Whereas-
same like Islam, as Muslims are portrayed as terrorists for a number of years.
Exactly.
Even
Exactly.
now, yeah.
Exactly.
And if I was telling them in previous podcasts that if you, when you are at workplace, you are the acting Muslim, and if you behave in certain way, you will portray them as all Muslims are same.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
I wanted to talk about Piers Morgan, but
Oh,
I'm
not
not
yet.
gonna now.
Forget about
Morgan.
Piers Morgan.
Nah,
man.
bro, we need
Well,
to.
do you not like him?
It's not about him,
Nah,
bro. It's
forget
about,
about it.
about what he's doing on this. The reason why I wanted to talk about it is because what he's doing with the whole assassination of Meghan Markle.
What's
And
he doing?
Bro, this is what we were supposed to talk about, but you, man, went on some...
Let's
road
calm,
thing.
let's calm.
I-
let's
I
carry
think
on talking,
No, we
carry on
can't,
talking.
bro. We've done over 2 hours, man. Leave it.
People can
No,
people can look it up. Yeah, you're talking about that video. Was it on GMT or whatever? where
Not
he's-
even that, bro. Every day on his tweets, he's literally going, just because when Meghan got serious with Harry, naturally he didn't want her being too close and friendly with media people like that.
Okay.
So they cut off their friendship. And since then, and he didn't get an invite to her wedding, being such close friends, as he likes to say. That's the cuff of it, and now he's going after her.
Piers Morgan's
He's
just
going
a
after
bitter.
her.
He's going after her, mate. Go and research
And
it.
he was
But yeah, I'll leave it on that because rather than us going on about it, people
Right.
can go and see what he's doing, man. It's quite well documented.
Sometimes he's right, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Nah, he doesn't let speak. You know how us lot have a problem not letting each other finish off a sentence. He has that problem on Good Morning TV.
Oh yeah. No,
But
that's yeah.
Room for improvement, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Apologies about the camera issues and apologies. We went in
Slightly off
circles.
topic.
Apologies for all the times I pronounced Meghan's surname incorrect
Yeah.
Yeah.
and any other mistake that I made.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're out.